Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. In today's video, we're moving forward with swapping a 350 small block V8 into my 1989 Chevrolet S10. In the last video, I focused on doing a complete front end teardown so I can assess the condition of everything and clear up a lot of space to hopefully make the swap a whole lot easier. If you haven't had a chance to check that video out, I put a link in the description box below. Now it's time to pull the powertrain. This truck originally came with a throttle body fuel injected 4.3 liter V6, which, if you don't already know, is basically a 350 with two less cylinders. So by having two engines that are so similar in design, it is going to make certain aspects of this swap a little bit easier, especially because some of the parts from the 4.3 will bolt onto the 350 if you wanted to save a bit of money. My initial plan of attack is to pull the engine and transmission in one piece. When my friend Joe and I pulled the engine out of my 93 Jimmy, we had quite a time with it because with the four-wheel drive models, you got the front drive shaft, you got the torsion bar suspension, you got all sorts of extra bracing, you got to work around the front differential, so being that this truck is two-wheel drive, this should be a bit more straightforward. Of course, a special shout out to O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of their continued support. If you guys are knee-deep in some projects, whatever it may be, head to O'ReillyAuto.com. I put a link in the description box below and use the code SOBKyle20 to take 20% off of purchases of $100 or more. Thanks so much, I really appreciate it. First things first, I'm going to disconnect the fuel pump. Now to turn it over and make sure it doesn't fire up. All right, should be good to go. Before going any further though, we have to disconnect the battery. Some of you out there have done so many swaps like this that it's pretty much second nature, but for me, it really helps to take a methodical approach. So now I'm gonna go through the entire engine and unplug all of the electrical connectors, even though a lot of the sensors and wires won't be used with the 350. I still want to know exactly what does what and stay as organized as possible to help reduce stress levels. Let's work our way from the middle out. We'll start with unplugging the fuel injectors and move on to the throttle cable bracket. Now let's tackle this throttle body. At the front, you have two vacuum lines, one of which goes up to the EGR solenoid, the other one down to the charcoal canister. There's also a PVC hose right in the middle that ties into the passenger side valve cover. There's another vacuum line coming out the back of the EGR solenoid, and that ties into the back of the throttle body. That little disc looking thing down there is for your vacuum advance, and that line ties into the map sensor. So we got to get all the vacuum lines out, obviously, but got to unplug the EGR solenoid, the map sensor, the throttle position sensor, as well as the idle control valve. Be careful with some of these old parts if you're wanting to reuse them. Like these little plastic vacuum lines tend to get really brittle with age, and sometimes they just break and you can't help it and you have to get another one, but just something to be aware of. Now to disconnect the fuel lines off the back of the throttle body. The larger one right here is the feed, the smaller one is the return. The last things holding it on are three 13mm bolts. There's actually a pretty convenient bracket here that secures the map sensor and the EGR solenoid, so we can undo the bracket and get it all out of the way. With the throttle body and this bracket out of the way, I went ahead and continued labeling my harness. There's still a bunch of other things that need to be unhooked though, so I'm gonna start at the alternator and wrap around so the harness can just be tucked out of the way. I almost forgot, there's a few wires attached to the starter that have to come off before the harness can be pulled back. I'm not sure how you're supposed to properly access the starter wires without actually taking the starter out. There's like no clearance. If there's a trick I missed, feel free to post it in the comments below, but just dropping it beneath the truck a little bit allowed plenty of clearance to get the wires. While I'm underneath here, I'm going to go ahead and drop the rest of this Y pipe. Thankfully, it didn't give up too much of a fight. I think I'm just about ready to be able to tuck this harness out of the way. I went ahead and unplugged the oil pressure switch. There's a knock sensor on the back of the engine over here. There's also a ground strap that I still need to undo. It attaches behind the engine, but it goes up to the firewall, so I'm just going to take that off because it's easier to get to. I also have to undo this heater pipe because the harness runs underneath it. There's the AC lines that need to come off. There's the vacuum line for the brake booster and probably some other stuff here and there, but should be able to start unbolting this engine soon. Much better. Everything is out of the way. Now I just have to finish undoing the AC lines and the fuel lines. Then we can tackle the transmission. Next, I'll be tackling the transmission. I need to first drain all the transmission fluid so when I pull the drive shaft in a moment, fluid won't start spilling out the tail end. The trick with these transmission pans, since they don't have a fluid drain plug, is to remove the bolts on the front and the side so it cracks open just enough to start seeping out fluid. You definitely don't want to do them all at one time because it will just fly open and make a tremendous mess. So after it drains out some more, I'll undo or just loosen up the back bolts, let it keep flowing out, and then when it's sufficiently drained, I'll go ahead and drop the whole pan. There's two electrical connectors I'm going to go ahead and undo. One on the far right is the vehicle speed sensor, and the one up there connects to the torque converter clutch solenoid. That has something to do with linking the flywheel to the output shaft of the transmission, I guess to help reduce parasitic losses in the torque converter when on the highway to help improve fuel economy. Almost there. Now I'm going to take out the drive shaft. It pulls out of the back of the transmission just like any drive shaft, but with the S10 extended cabs, it's a two-piece drive shaft with a carrier bearing on top of this cross member. So I need to undo the bolts for the carrier bearing and remove it from the end of the differential, then just pull the whole thing out. Only two more things left to do down here. I gotta disconnect the shifter linkage and disconnect the transmission from the cross member. Last but not least, the motor mounts. All right, the moment of truth is finally here. Let's hoist this engine out. Unlike the 4.3 Vortec V6 that was in my Jimmy, this one didn't come with any factory engine slingers on the intake manifold, so I'm just gonna use my leveler. I took out 4 intake manifold bolts, one on each corner, and attached a slinger to that, so it should work out pretty good. Let's see how it goes. Well, the first attempt didn't work, so I had to place a jack and a piece of wood to bring the tail end of the transmission up a little bit so it'll clear the subframe. It's working, slowly but surely. I had to reposition the jack to bring the tail end of the transmission a little bit higher. For reasons unknown to me, the wire harness was tucked in between the transmission dipstick and the engine block, so I had to take the dipstick out, which was not the most fun thing in the world. We're gonna have to find a better solution for that when the new engine gets in there, but now we should be able to pull it out. Just when I thought I was home free, I completely forgot about the power steering lines. There's also one more ground strap on the back of the engine that I gotta get off. That could not have worked out any better. I wasn't sure where I was going to keep this engine or how I was going to move it around until I figured out what to do with it. And I came across this wooden dolly by accident the other day, and it was only like $5, so I bought it, and I was like, what the heck? Maybe I could put the engine on it. And it's perfect. It's literally perfect. It's just wide enough to cradle the sides of the transmission pan, and the oil pan rests comfortably on the front. It's actually really solid. Like, no indications of tipping over whatsoever. I'll end up putting a ratchet strap on it just in case, but that's a pretty fantastic score right there. There's even plenty of clearance for the transcooler lines. That's just fantastic. There's a pretty significant dirt dauber community going on right there. I guess the immediate plans for this engine is to take off the accessory drive because I'm going to be using this on the 350. It bolts right up, so that'll definitely save a lot of money versus going to an aftermarket accessory drive. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty ecstatic right now. This is the first time I've ever pulled an engine out of a vehicle all by myself, so not only am I super proud at this moment, but I am amped for the rest of this project. Golly, it's gonna be so much fun. As you can see, this truck is just in phenomenal shape. It's gonna clean up beautifully. With the restoration side of things, I'm going to take the body off the frame and finish restoring the frame and coating it just like I did the rear. Of course, I'll be replacing all of the body bushings. I got to completely rebuild the suspension and install the lowering equipment, redo the steering, clean up the wire harness, clean up maybe the firewall and do some fancy stuff. I don't know. Give me some ideas in the comments below. Well, everyone, that is gonna wrap it up for this video. I hope y'all enjoyed. Please don't forget to leave a like below because it really helps the video a lot. And if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so because there's always a lot more content where that came from. Of course, a special thanks once again to O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of their continued support. And of course, you guys as well for keeping up with the content. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.